Scott Rothstein swindled a lot of people, me included. He bankrupted many families. Nobody was closer to Rothstein than Charlie Crist. Rothstein was always around Charlie, throwing parties and giving Charlie money.
Rick Scott has run this ad 4,000 times, and 4,000 times he's lied to you. The press calls it false, misleading, with no basis.
It's been called the most dishonest ad in the campaign for governor.
There is nothing like this time of year for two reasons if you're politically inclined. Midterm elections, of course, and the various ways we watch politicians sneak and slither out of stating actual opinions. And those wonderful campaign ads that prove every year there are really bad actors out there and that people will vote for anybody as long as they look good and promise everything. Welcome to MidPoint. The president of the M Network Branding and Strategy in Miami, Florida, Thom Mozloom, joins us today here in the studio. Thom, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
But that ad itself right there was the one we were talking about before we started it. That's a wonderful look at those two ads because, first of all, who is the guy out there?
Who is that guy?
No one knows.
Well, he's an actor. Well, I don't know who he is, actually.
We don't know.
We don't know. You'd have to fact check that. But what's interesting is that ad also points out the fact that the negative ad ran 4,000 times. Well, that ad ran at least that. Both of those ads, that pair of ads, each one had $2 million behind it in a statewide buy. Let me put that in perspective for you. An average local auto dealership in a big market won't spend $2 million in a year to air ads.
And they'll spend it in what, 4 weeks?
4 weeks, 3 weeks, and ad nauseum. The frequency rate on advertising in political battleground states right now is astounding.
But we love those ads, and there's a Rasmussen poll that comes out and says people say, wait a minute, the negative ads don't really affect me, I don't care for them. But you and I both know, and we've seen this happen in those ads.
That's correct.
If it's negative, people go, oh wow, what a great point.
The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with. There's your Shakespeare moment for the day.
Very nice, thank you.
Right, thank you. You know, they say they don't like these negative ads. Poll after poll, I hate them, I can't stand them. But they work. They work, and that's why you keep seeing them.
Let's talk about what the advertisers and everybody wants here, because there's a couple of things that you point out, which are exactly right. When they come out with these ads, they're not looking to push an actual opinion or an actual statement or an actual platform. All they want to do is get you emotionally involved and get you to some kind of visceral feeling, correct?
Sure. Well, that's the essence of a brand. A brand, at its definition, is the emotional connection that a target audience has with a product, a service, or a candidate. So we're looking to push that emotional connection. It's easier to mobilize people when they feel than when they think. And that's what these ads do. That's why you have the moody music. That's why you have the deep, gravelly announcer. That's why you have all of that stuff in there. It's all to push the emotions as far to the edge as we can so that we tap into voters' emotions.
Is it fair to say that a lot of voters will vote for a candidate even though they're not completely involved in the candidate, but the negative ad really pushed me, or the weird ad really pushed me? It's the ad that does it, not the issue.
I would venture to say that it's not even just the ad, it's the compilation of ads. It's the series of ads. In this political climate, when you're seeing so many ads, you cannot turn on the TV, the radio, open your mailbox, turn on your computer without seeing a political ad right now. They're all negative. It's the buildup, the constant buildup of that negative that strips the candidate of their popularity. And the idea when you get into crunch time like this is we want to strip down that candidate more than they strip us down. And remember, as somebody who runs campaigns, what I want you to do is two things. If you're not going to vote for my candidate, stay home. Those are your two choices. So you wonder why popularity, why voter confidence is down in government. You wonder why polling numbers, when you see voter turnout, why that's down. Well, we're in constant campaign mode. And 90%
Ask the
of the
president,
ads,
he'll tell you that.
Right, 90% of the ads are negative on both sides. You have a series of ads this year, which is very unique, with a president who is unpopular. So you have Republicans saying, my opponent is just like that failure, President Obama. And then you have the Democrats saying, I'm not like that failure, President Obama. What do you think that's going to do to President Obama's approval ratings by the end of this?
Well, here we have a couple of ads, and we're going to see and run through these very quickly here. First of all, here's one, North Carolina, and this is how Thom Tillis is using this whole Obama connection here, because certainly the Republicans are pushing that connection. So here's the North Carolina ad. we don't have the North Carolina ad.
It's a good one, though.
I thought we would. The North Carolina ad was there, and that was basically they're pushing the Obama connection. Right. Liberals are pushing away from it as fast as possible. Now, would it make sense, though, for the liberals just to not even mention Obama? Don't mention Obamacare, don't mention anything, don't say anything. Completely divorce yourself from that brand.
If I was running a campaign, I would try to avoid the connection as much as possible, and you'll see that. But the problem is that a lot of the incumbent Democrats ran on Obama's coattails. That's how they got into office.
So you have to attack them. If you're a Republican, you got to keep pointing that out over and over again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you look at Kentucky with Allison Lundergan Grimes. She won't even admit that she voted for Obama.
Which she was asked, we actually had that
Did
tape
you really?
where she's asked over and over
oh.
again, and she says, this is not about President Obama, this is not about Obamacare, this is about the people of Kentucky.
And she's getting hammered because of it, hammered. So you have to address the question. If you ran on his coattails, if you're a Democrat, run as a Democrat. If you're a Republican, run as a Republican.
But frequency is another thing here, because you mentioned that as well. Isn't this like the drilling capacity here? It's like bang, bang, bang. Just keep hitting them and people will eventually believe anything as long as you play it enough.
Well, we know that. We know this from studies going back into, say, the 1960s, that the law of frequency, the law of repetition is a great thing for advertisers. If I walk into a room and I say something, maybe 20% of the audience will believe me the first time they hear it. But if they hear the same thing 30, 40 times, I could boost that number to 50, 60%, no matter how ridiculous it is. Think about that. We have a political climate right now where in the state of North Carolina, in the state of Kentucky, in the state of Florida, 22 political ads air every single hour. Every hour.
Well, sure, you can see that when a lot of the newscasts, too, as well, they're constantly running the political ads over and over again.
Well, it's a multiplying effect. We just played 2 ads on this show. Think about that for a second, right? It's
4001, 4002, 4003.
We should have a ticker.
Okay, so wait a minute. 20 seconds, then we got to get out of here. But in your opinion, then, in that Florida race specifically, between Crist and Scott, who's done the best job of getting the message out and getting people to vote for them?
Well, it's always going to be the one who spent the most money. Right now, Charlie Crist is spending a ton more than Rick Scott. But I think in the closing days, you're going to see that close, but it's all going to be negative. And the only way to find out, I'm not going to prognosticate here, but you will see in the polls.
But it's all about who believes.
That's right.
Not necessarily what the issues are.
That's right. It's about feelings. It's not about facts. Politics is about feelings.
Please come back and tell us about feelings one more time. We'll do that again, Tom.
We should sing the song. We'll do the duet.
No, please, really. He did it a nice job. Let's not us do it. We don't want to ruin it. Later this hour, speaking of politicians, they are to laugh at, and we'll do that in the political punching bag right here on MidPoint.